Overnight, the Senate took a major step toward handing the president his most significant legislative victory on taxes.
President Trump signed a massive new spending bill just weeks before tax day. And if you've ever wondered where your tax dollars are going, well, you're not alone.
All right, so you know the government is taking 40% of my taxes. And Uncle Sam, I want to know what you're doing with my fucking tax money. What is y'all doing with my fucking money? I want to know. I want receipts. I want everything. I want to know what y'all niggas doing with my fucking money. What is y'all niggas doing with my fucking money? Uncle Sam, I want to know what the fuck you're doing with my motherfucking money.
Well said. Nobody likes paying taxes. Nobody. Still though, they are the price we pay for living in a civilized society, which could be frustrating considering none of us were given the option on whether we wanted to live in civilized society. And there is no frontier anymore. It's not like we can just pack up our shit and ride off to live whatever kind of tax-free life we want. So here's an idea. What if, when we went to file our taxes, we got to specify which department we'd like our money to go to? Now I'm talking on the individual level here. So you could give 5% of your money to the military, but then you could turn and give 50% of it to education. And everyone would be able to do this, and everyone would be able to make these specifications. And so once this is all said and done, you would have essentially what would be a crowdsourced tax plan. For a lot of people, this would pretty much be a dream come true. Instead of the powerful few deciding where all this money goes, the power would be given to the people. And subsequently, the departments in question would need to appeal to those people rather than to the politicians. And nobody's needs would go entirely unaddressed with this system. But this idea has a lot to unpack, and it surely isn't without any flaws. So I'm going to refer to this video game, Cities Skylines, to make a few points here. Cities Skylines is a classic city builder. You act as a mayor and you start by building roads and zoning the adjacent areas for construction. You need to make sure that there are electrical lines running to every building. You need to put water and sewage piping underneath every block. And as people move into your city, you need to start investing in more and more public services like fire and police departments. People move into your city to find work, but companies are only going to move there if there are workers. So too many commercial zoning and not enough residential zoning will bankrupt companies. Too many houses and no jobs for the residents is going to result in poverty and crime. So you have to carefully balance your city as it grows. The game has a very clever way of communicating what exactly the needs of your citizens are, and that's through a Twitter feed on the top of the screen. And your citizens are always bitching about something, whether it's garbage or whether it's the weather or whatever. But they'll also praise you for doing your job well. Now take a look at this budget panel, which provides a list of all the public departments and gives you a slider to adjust how much funding that department gets. In the game, it's pretty simple. The slider just affects how many vehicles that department has access to. So if there are a lot of dead bodies, you're going to need more funeral horses to go pick them up. Same goes for ambulances, fire trucks, police cars, buses, etc. So I look at this and my question is, why do we have the middleman mayor here? We can see the needs of the citizens in the Twitter feed, and we can adjust where the money needs to go. So why can't there just be a direct line from citizen to department? Well, the first problem I see is that the public simply doesn't have the appreciation for the things that they need and would rather put that money toward things that they want. So the Parks and Rec department might find itself with 10 times the funding the next day, but then the garbage service has not nearly enough money to perform its duties. The layman cannot see the big picture. It's my job, it's the player's job in this case, to see the big picture. In reality, our power is limited to who we choose to see that big picture, who we elect to run cities or states. And it has been proven time and time again that that is a less than effective way of doing things. This is The Police. Is a video game where you manage a police department. And it's amazing to me how effortlessly this video game demonstrates corruption. In this game, the city mayor is the sole decision maker on the budget. So he's the sole person you need to appease if getting more money in your department is your goal. So when this mayor asks for you to send 2 officers to supervise a fucking French fry eating contest, you do it regardless of how stupid you might think it is. And then, while that's happening, there's a shooting on the other side of town and you're understaffed. So you send a couple officers to respond and one of them dies to the lack of backup. And then the mayor gets upset with you and defunds your department anyway. Now, if there were a crowdsourced tax plan in place, then the department would need to appeal to the people rather than to a single politician. Of course, happy citizens that feel safe are going to be more willing to give a portion of their money to law enforcement. But that might also mean that the police department will try to appeal to the wealthy citizens over the unwealthy citizens. And that kind of profit-seeking prioritization might happen in just about every level of government. Fire, healthcare, garbage collection, water, electric, utilities. Imagine a fire truck choosing between a call in a wealthy neighborhood and in a poor neighborhood. Speaking in terms of tax profit, it's going to be a better idea for them to please the wealthy than it is to please the unwealthy. And this sort of a prioritization would divide the wealth way more than it's already divided. So I feel like the best middle ground with respect to a crowdsourced tax plan is going to be some sort of exercise of transparency. Now imagine still, when we go to file our taxes, we still get to decide where we want our money to go. But on top of that, the government has final say. And then once they do decide on the final tax budget, they are expected to justify the differences between the crowdsourced and the actual. This would enable a pretty intimate dialogue between the governing bodies and their constituents. And I'm sure I'm being optimistic, but I imagine a governor needing to consider re-election when he's finalizing the budget. He could take money from where the people want to put it and give it to where his donors want it, but that's a huge risk to your chances in the coming election. So this would add a whole new layer of accountability to the government, and all in all, I'm not sure that would be a good or bad thing, but I do think this would be a good thing for how the citizens view the taxation process.